Now, we have routes for sign in and notes, and they each redirect to the other if the authentication status is not the appropriate thing for that component. We also have a route for notes / some ID, which adds an ID param that we can get to from our form, but we're not doing anything with that yet, right? So let's do something with it. So how are we determining what to show in the form? The form is bound to this.props.current note, right? .title and .body. This.props current note. So how can the current note change? When we save a new one, I think we change it. When we delete one, I think we change it. Maybe I can't remember whether we do or not. When we click on something from the note list, right? Current note changes. My vision here, our shared vision, I believe, is that the only way you change what's in the form is by changing the URL. You visit /notes / that ID, and that changes what's in the form. So I don't really want to change the current note anywhere except from in the form based on the params. So that's going to be our goal. Over here, instead of saying on click, update the current note, I just want to make it a link. I just want to make it a link to the page that has that in the URL. So let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can get the ID out of here and do something with it. So how are we going to get that ID? It comes out of our props, right? So when do we want to check it out? Anytime the props change, right? So remember our old friend, component will receive props. We like to put our lifecycle functions right after the constructor, but before everything else. We have no constructor here anymore, so component will receive props. And just by naming it that, that's going to get run at the right time. Why? Magic? No. Inheritance. We are actually extending the component class from React, right? React.component. And it calls this at the appropriate time. And we're just overriding whatever definition of that method exists in the original superclass. And we know that it receives as its argument whatever the props are about to change to. We still have our current props at this.props. Component will receive props, receives whatever the props are about to change to. So what we want to know is if the ID out of our next props is different from what's currently bound to the form, basically, right? So let's say const new ID is, what do we say? Let's look again in case we don't remember. Let me comment this out. Let's make sure we have an ID. Let's type something after the word notes. Look at our React DevTools. If you don't remember this, if you don't remember how to get to it, remember that the DevTools can help answer these questions. And it's the note form component, so I type form in the search box, click on note form, shows me all my props. Oh yeah, this.props.match.params.id, right? So new ID is this, not this.props, next props, right? This.props will be before the change. So when they're about to change, I want to check what they're about to change to. Next props dot match dot params dot ID. And then I want to compare that if new ID is not equal to the ID of the current note right now, this dot props dot current note dot ID. Then I need to update the current note, right? So let's say const note equal next props dot note notes. Because remember, all the notes are getting passed down as a prop as well. So next prop dot notes. And then how do I get to the one that's at the ID, new ID? How do I get that out of this notes object? I'm trying to do this basically, right? Except I can't use dot. Brackets. So new ID. I get the note with that ID out of nextprops.notes. And then I want to update the current note with that, right? We already have that method set current note. It's already being passed down as a prop, I believe. So we can say this dot props dot set current note to that note. Let's go out to, I don't remember who I'm signed in as. Oh, now I got problems. We'll just comment this out for the moment. Okay, make sure I'm signed in with Google. I think actually my note in the sidebar told me that, but yeah, Google user. So that's the only one I have. Well, let's put it a fake ID, because that'll match this thing still, right? So let's uncomment this. Oh man, all kinds of problems. Cannot read property title of undefined. What? What happened? Why isn't it at least a blank note? So we got our new ID, which was a whole lot of nothing. It was undefined. Oh no, it was this thing. Wait, which one did I visit? I went slash some nonsense, right? Isn't that where I went? Is that where I went? All right, well, either way, I get the same error. So it's either going to be undefined or it's going to be some nonsense. And either way, when I say nextprops.notes and get something at that index, there's nothing there, right? That's undefined. So if I set current note to undefined, and then I try to get its title, well, that's not going to work. So we need to make sure that this note was actually found. If note, then update the current note. All right, refresh the page. No more error. Now what if I just go to slash notes? Okay, same thing. It saved me from that error too. Because then the ID would be undefined, and it would get notes at undefined index, which isn't anything, so it would just not run set current note. Try to sign out. Okay, everything seems okay. Now what if I put in a real ID? Let's see. How would I get the ID of this note? An easy way. How about we look at our React Dev Tools? You guys like your dev tools, right? You use them. When something's not working, you pop them open to see if you've got an error, right? I hope so. Okay, React Dev Tools. That would be the note component. Here's the note. There's the ID. So let's copy that real ID. Let's see what happens. Slash notes slash some ID that I didn't make up. It did it. It filled it in. Sweet. What happens if I try to add a new one? Okay, it blanked it out. Good. Now, the URL didn't change. That seems unfortunate. I don't want the ID and what's displayed in the form to ever not match. So when it's blank, it should just be /notes. So we'll need to fix that. But right now, I'm pretty proud of us for making it show the note that came out of the ID. So let's celebrate our victory with a commit. Load the note in the form. How about populate the form based on the ID in the route?